Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing a little bit of some thought dump, right? A little bit of what I normally call on a Friday random rambles. This is my rambling session where I just pick any random thing and I just talk about it and hope that it entertains you. And of course, it always gives you something to think about in a provocative kind of a way. So, for those of you who are new here joining me for the first time, I'm Shelly and welcome to Conversations with Shelly. And for those of you who are not so unfamiliar, you've been around the block, especially this block, for a couple of times, welcome back. So, you know, I'm not a relationship expert, right? But I dabble in a lot of relationship topics because I'm intrigued by this whole concept of men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and we just operate in two different spheres. Albeit the intention is for us to operate on one plane. But because we are built differently and we think differently, sometimes that can become a little bit challenging. So, relationship topics are always something that I will always be intrigued about and will always want to bring it to you. So let's talk. So today I intend to have some random rambles, but I want to separate them into four things, right? So I'm going to be random. I'm going to random ramble about hall pass, what it means to cater to someone versus to care for someone. I'm going to look at my random ramble about relationship versus a commitment, and of course, one of my favorite, favorite things in the world to discuss being kept or being chosen. So let's jump right into it. So, the reason why the first one became an obvious topic for me in my random ramble this week is because I was browsing through YouTube as I sometimes do, and I realized that there was a case that a lady was being charged, was indicted for murder. And when I listened to the opening statement from the prosecution's team, I realized that the whole basis of the prosecution's theory was that she gave her other half a hall pass. And this hall pass turned into something diabolical, something, you know, murderous, for want of a better word. And there ended up being some of that unaliving happening. I realize unaliving is a word that we're using now on YouTube when we talk about, you know, taking someone's life. And it's quite unfortunate because, guys, you're gonna have to educate me as to why we can't use the word. Because for me, I mean, it is a part of our reality, however we want to look at it. Particularly so because I'm in the legal field. I don't like the act, but it is something that it's not divorced from us as human beings, but somehow we can't, a lot of persons I'm noting have not been saying the word on here. So I'm gonna just say unalive, right? So that was the basis for me wanting to discuss this whole concept of hall pass because when I listened to the both the prosecution's theory and the defendant's theory of the case, it led me to wonder why would anybody give anybody a hall pass? Or should I have a different mindset about hall passes and just try to understand where it may have derived from in relation to this particular lady who was being charged, right? So the whole hall pass conversation for me is that is first of all having an understanding as to what it means for the persons who are actually granting this particular idea of a hall pass. So at the very onset, I started to try to understand what does it basically mean, right? And for many of us, Well, not for many of us. Certainly not for many of us. But for some people, it is basically mean that you're in a relationship, but for some temporary moment, you offer some amount of freedom for the person to act single, right? And for me, honestly, if somebody asks for a hall pass, the real issue, there is a greater issue there for me, right? It's not just the pass, but there's something that requires some deeper level of, you know, relationship deep dive. There's some gap somewhere. So it leads me to wonder what could have been missing in anybody's relationship for you to want to escape, for you to need to have an escape of a particular day or a particular moment or a particular time. And is this something that we are seeing more and more within our relationships, within this space, within this new era of, where relationships are going? And what say you about it? Is this something that you would entertain in your own relationship, or you're just not about that life? But I can tell you point blank, comma, and the dash, me not give nobody no all pass, no day, no time, no how, no way. Because for me, what if you go out there and you like the day, you like the all pass? You ever get an all pass or a day pass to hotel it, and you can eat down the whole place, and you can play with the whole something them on the hotel premises, and you can enjoy all of the little game and something them. Do you ever want to leave? And don't you always be begging the people them that give you the all pass to give you another one? I am sure that you're shaking your head going, yes, girl. Yeah, I saw the I saw the hall pass thing or the day pass thing works. So when I look at this whole concept of getting a hall pass, I look at it in similarly the way that I would look at somebody giving me a day pass or a body pass for, say, a flight. Yeah, you get a body pass and somebody said to you, you want to go somewhere, and they work with the airline. I think we're all familiar with what body passes are. And well, we Jamaicans, we probably be thinking something totally different, but for the rest of the world, right? A body pass is a ticket for you to take a plane somewhere, and you only pay the tax. Let me just fix that. So, and I can give you context to this as well. Like last week, I called my friend and I said he's a aircraft engineer, and me know you watch this, so me know you gonna call me, and me don't need permission, Mr. Brown, to call your name. I don't. But anyway, we're friends from college, university days. So he works with an airline. He's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's Sprint or one of them. I don't can't remember. But he is an aircraft engineer, and I called him the other day to say, hey, listen, I need a body pass. Give me a body pass. And I thought to myself, if if that was actually how easy it is to get a body pass, I would be calling this person ever so often to keep getting a body pass. So when I looked at the whole idea of a hall pass, I kind of equated it to the same level of similarity, body pass, hall pass. And I said to myself, then if somebody comes to me, and said to me, say they want a hall pass for a day, and I give them the hall pass, and they like the hall pass, then them not gonna want more and more hall passes. And what me do then? What happens then when I continuously have to be considering moments of hall passes? So for me, I can tell you, as I said, point blank, comma, with the dash, a hall pass is just not gonna work in my world. Never, no day, right? For me, before you go down the road of asking for a hall pass, or you need to find out what is driving this request, or what is making me want to grant this permission. I think it is important for us to dial back and find out what else is missing for you to want to grant somebody, or for you to want to request something. Because it simply means that in most of these cases, and persons won't necessarily want to admit it, but the idea is that some communication somewhere is failing some connection is fading and someone just wants the benefit of the partnership without the responsibility. Something is happening. And it's going to take me into my next random ramble, which is relationship versus commitment. Yeah. So for me, hall pass is a band-aid. It's not going to address the real fix of what is really happening or what is really broken. So, word to the wise, you see? Word to the wise on this Good Friday evening. Anybody who decides to grant you a hall pass, stop and think very carefully as to why you're being given a hall pass. Stop and also think if you are the requester of the hall pass. Why is it that I am requesting a hall pass? And save on yourself a whole heap of trouble. Save on yourself a whole heaps of trouble and just end the relationship right there. So, because I can tell you, y'all are digging a very shallow grave with this hall pass in relationship thing. And that's my first random ramble. Fix what is broken, guys. Don't grant out no day passes. Right? Now, my next random ramble that I'm going to dive into is this whole thing of relationship versus commitment. No. This may be a topic that I may need to extend a little bit further. But let me tell you what was the impetus and the driver behind it. So, I was looking into a myriad of scenarios that have happened over the years. And I said to myself, what distinguishes somebody from being in a relationship versus somebody who is making a commitment? I mean, anybody can be in a relationship. That's just the honest to God's truth. But what is it that makes the relationship one that is more solidified, or what makes it more concrete for me is the fact that you're committing to somebody. Because you can be in a relationship and you're not committed to nothing. You're just in the relationship. You're just there for whatever your reasons are. And that to me has not been sitting quite well with me for many, many years. Like, I keep asking myself, why would somebody want to be in a relationship and not commit to nothing? You don't want to commit to um contributing to the person's life financially. You don't want to commit to making yourself available to the person on an on a normal relationship. Well, that not sound right, because that's just a model the whole difference, distinction between the two. But the point that I'm trying to get across is there can be instances where persons are in relationship and they're just in the relationship for the obvious reasons. There are obvious reasons why people are in relationship. They don't want to be alone, they don't want to be lonely, they have urges, they have desires, they have there may be something socially attached to it, there may be some social status attached to it. It may just be a relationship of convenience. You need to be coupled up, you need to do all of this. Now, those are the reasons why I need to make the distinction, because at a very surface level, without commitment, a relationship is um a coupling can be just a situationship and not a relationship. But then you have to make that relationship one that is driven with commitments, and commitments that are tied to some kind of sacrifice that you're making. So if you're going through your situationship and you realize that there's no real commitment, nobody is really making a commitment to you, whether it is a commitment that they are going to be present, available in your life, more than just passing or a visiting relationship, or they are making some financial contribution to you, whether they're paying your water, light bill, something. And this doesn't it has no gender bias, right? So for me, I kind of am at a place where I want to have a clear understanding as to what makes somebody think they're in a relationship. Is it just the obvious things, or is it that to be in a relationship, there needs to be some commitment that is more tied to things that are not obvious. So nobody obviously sees you paying a bill. You'd have to put that on the front of the door. Yeah. Nobody sees you necessarily committing time inordinate to the relationship. So the commitment for me is something that is going to take you outside of what is obviously being seen or what is obviously being needed by somebody within the relationship. I hope this ramble makes sense, yeah? Because as I said, it's just me rambling. But the key thing is for you to consider yourself to be in a relationship of some substance, there has to be some commitment that is being um obtained, derived out of some sacrifice. And if it is that the commitment is not really a commitment, but is just a effort or a benefit, then chances are you are in a relationship that is a situationship. That's how I look at it anyway. That's my humble opinion of it. So for me, I will not necessarily put a label on any relationship that I'm in unless there it comes with it some level of commitment. Some commitment has to be there. I think I'm at that point in my life where you have to commit to something, regardless of what it is. There has to be some commitment. It cannot be that you're just existing and people know that the two are not together. That can't be it. That's just not gonna fly, right? So some people will tell you that once they're in a relationship, they're in a relationship. There needs not be a commitment of marriage, a commitment of exclusivity, a commitment of shared bills or shared responsibility, or even taking over some of the bills or taking over something or taking some time or giving some time. But for me, at my right old age, mm-mm, the type in a relationships where are just exactly that. There has to now be something that somebody is committing to make it make sense. Yeah, it is what it is. So while commitment may seem, you know, boring and unfiltered, and there are some, as I mentioned, some behind the scenes part to it, it has to be something that is consistent. It has to be something that is honest. It has to be something that is showing up even when you don't feel like you need to do it. Yeah. And that is what makes a distinction. A relationship without a commitment is literally just, as I said, it's a situationship. It's a fanciful label that people slap onto something just to not make the thing that they're actually in so um difficult to deal with. So a lot of persons don't want to see themselves as being a situationship. And the truth is, guys, you see, if it's a situationship, I just that there's no way to make that any different for you if that's what you're in. Because the reality of it is a relationship comes with commitment. Yeah. And if your relationship doesn't have solid, consistent, honest commitments, you're in a situationship. And we all know what a situationship is. We all know it's just somebody visiting you for the obvious reasons. Um, you know, sadly enough, that's what it is. So if someone claims you publicly, but don't show up for you private, in my opinion, that's not a commitment. That's a marketing stunt. So I'm gonna stop stunt out there. Stop the stunting. What if people can do that? What if people can get up and stunt and make it look like things are going on, and really and truly nothing are going on here? Yeah. My third thing that I want to ramble about is again another relationship. Guys, I don't want to feel like say, should have nothing to do, but these are really some really good things. Yeah, putting on, yeah. Catering to someone versus caring for someone. Now, this came up to be something that, again, I had in passing this week in my many, you know, social media digest. And I think this was in relation to the Candy Burst and Todd Tucker story. And if you know, you know. Yeah. So I'm going to see if I can give on a quick thing. So Candy, who was a part of the escape, the lady behind, I think she wrote Bills, Bills, Bills for Beyonce. I may be wrong on that. I may be wrong. But she's a well known songwriter, real housewife of Atlanta, Broadway extraordinaire. Girl a do her thing. She married a guy, Todd Tucker. He was a crew member on The Real Housewife, and they came together. They had two kids, and I think they've gone about 10 years. Recently, she filed for divorce. We don't know the real reason for the divorce because, of course, the divorce is sealed. Or no, she's asking for the divorce file to be sealed. But that's not the real crux of the matter. That's not really the real crux of why we're here. The real crux of why we're here is that for a lot of the social media interest that had gathered around this story is that for many, many years, Candy had been caring for Todd. And I think this was one of the words that the social media YouTuber had, influencer had. She made a distinction between what Candy did for Todd in the sense of whether she cared for him or whether she was catering to him. Yeah. And when I heard it, I said, "Wow, that's one of those Oprah Winfrey moments when you go, because a lot of us don't realize the difference between catering to somebody and caring for somebody, and we don't know which one of the two should be trumped above the other. So let me just dive into it. First and foremost, there's nothing wrong with doing something nice for someone. That's part of caring. But here's when it gets messy or it gets a little bit towing a very thin line where you need to now decide why is this person requiring you to be catered to. Because when you start to think about catering, it means that you're over functioning. You're bending and you're stretching and you're doing the backflips to meet someone else's needs while sometimes yours are busy collecting dust in the corner. So for me, when I look at what the social media influencer was talking about when she made a distinction between caring, where Candy was caring for Todd versus catering to him, it made me wonder how many persons are we catering for in our lives versus the persons who we're caring for. Because caring is supposed to be something that is mutual, while catering is often a very draining experience. And sometimes we cater to the persons who we think are needing of us most because maybe they are the ones who are constantly requiring us to cater for them. Sometimes you just have to care for people and leave it right there. Because when you cater to people, you drain yourself. I'm going to tell you something. There are many instances where we have family members, whether it be our parents or siblings or nieces or nephews. Usually, I don't want to go too far down the family line, but usually, say your parents or your siblings, you find that you may be in a position, and because they know you're in that particular position, they require so much of you. They require so much of you that it becomes what my aunt recently described as emotional incest. You're no longer caring for them, meaning you're not giving them the basic things that they need to survive and function. They are so draining that you're finding yourself having to cater to them. You're catering to their every whim and fancy. Now, this is when it becomes very messy. And guys, you have to now examine all the persons in your life that you are drained by because you're busy catering to them and you're not caring for them. Now, here's how caring for them turn up. You make sure that them have food, water, shelter, clothes, and a little pocket money, and little people do little things for them. You see, when you have to bend your back and a stretch and your hands them are going in all directions humanly possible, and at the end of the day, The things that are supposed to bring you joy, the things that are supposed to help you meet your needs, you don't even know what they are. And as I said, they are busy collecting dust in a corner somewhere because their needs trump yours 10 times. You need to start evaluate who these people are. You need to start giving them a real reality check. I mean, I talked to a couple of people. You need to give them some reality check. Trust and believe. Yeah. So if you're in something where you're pouring your energy into someone who you realize it's draining you, congratulations. Congratulations, ma'am. Congratulations, sir, because you're running a customer service department. You are running a proper customer service department, you see? Healthy connections, healthy situations that you need to cater and care for should not leave you feeling drained or leave you feeling that your needs aren't being met. So you see, anybody that you're busy catering to, make sure that you're getting the equal amount of cater from them. Because if you're not getting it, I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry for you. I'm really sorry for you. I will move on to my next random ramble. Being kept versus being chosen. Now, there's this idea of being kept. I love the idea, by the way, because from a little bit till now, always, that was a dream of mine. I used to look at Marilyn Monroe and these, um, what was that Marilyn Monroe, I don't want to say Marilyn Monroe knockoff, but she didn't marry a little old man. She died years ago, though. I know. Anyway. But she always prided herself on wanting to be a kept woman. And like Dolly Parton that said she always saw the town tramp, and the reason why she looked the way she looked is because she grew up wanting to look like the town tramp, which is why she have those used knockers, the blonde, bleach blonde hair, the lipstick, and the nails. Because growing up for Dolly Parton was the greatest thing to be. And when she found out that that was a town tramp, she just said, okay, and yeah, and what? Me like her. I want to aspire to be her. And Dolly Parton just aspire to be the town tramp. And then her mother tell her, say, look here, nobody aspire to be the girl there because she's a town tramp. Anyway, that's a little story on my country western side of life. But anyway, so back to my point. My point was, growing up, I always looked at the ladies on Dynasty and Dallas. You see? Oh gosh, me just date myself. Mercy, Father. Anyway. And I always want to be kept. I always want to be the girl dressed with the diamonds and pearls and the champagne glass, just frolicking around in the whatever type of car I used to drive back then. Just, looking all dolled up. Sadly enough for me, sadly enough for me, I was nobody's action figure. I was nobody's Barbie doll apart from my father and my mother. So I had to hustle and bustle and do the 9 to 5 to keep my own self. Has that made me a better person? No, no. And I actually have come to appreciate not being kept many years later. But I want to tell you, my foundation was always to be kept. And if I could, at this point in my life, still be kept, she would take it, right? So, but I'm going to tell you, the truth is, I don't know if it's more important to be chosen, if it's more healthy to be chosen. Because it means that both people want to be there, you know, and you're not just somebody's trophy and you're not just somebody's possession. And that is really what being kept is. It's just about being somebody's trophy. You may not necessarily want to be there, and this is a serious side of the conversation now, guys. You may not necessarily want to be there, but you like the idea of who is keeping you, or you like the idea of being kept and not necessarily who is keeping you. And when I looked at the whole idea and concept behind it, I realized that being kept may not necessarily be something that I want to desire, because it doesn't mean that somebody has chosen you. It just means that you are somebody's trophy, you're somebody's possession, you're somebody's artwork, and that's never what was my intention or my desire. So I do believe that I have pivoted my idea of being kept, and I have now decided that the best place for anybody to be, if that is not your intent, because some persons intend to be kept and they're okay with being trophies. But for those of us who have now realized the dilemma in the dichotomy of being kept versus being chosen, I think it's within our best interests and it's within our best state of mind to be chosen. Yeah. So a healthy relationship is really where two people are choosing each other with freedom and not trying to own each other. And if someone wants to be kept, then that's your choice. But be mindful that you were never necessarily chosen, but you were selected. Yeah. And again, that's a difference that we need to be mindful of. So, guys, that was this week's random ramble, or this was this week's random rambles. I hope some of it made you laugh. I hope some of it, you know, resulted in you having some serious thought. And however it left you, I'm very happy either way. So, whether it's a hall pass, whether it's understanding the difference between catering and caring, whether it's you trying to understand the difference between your situationship versus your relationship backed by commitment, or whether it's just you being kept and not chosen, all of these are things that we at some point in time considered. And if you like what this particular episode was, what it did for you, drop me a comment, hit the like button, subscribe, and share, and help us to grow this little space. Help the algorithm to build. I hear that is a thing to say. Help the algorithm build. Help the algorithm build, man. Sure. Not costing or nothing at all to just oops, like, share, and subscribe. So thank you once again, my beautiful extraordinaires, for joining me on yet this weekend little take me into the weekend kind of a thing. And I'm going to say that this episode is sponsored by none other than Thomas Hamilton and Associates Company Limited, where we satisfy all your generator rental and service needs. It's hurricane time, guys, so help, in your little way to the varying communities that have been affected by Hurricane Melissa in my home country, Jamaica. We are doing what we can do as a generator company. We are ensuring that we are powering people's lives, or at least trying to power as many persons' lives as we can. So feel free to hit us on the web and see how we have been contributing and how you can assist in also contributing to the space. So give us a call. Give them a call. All right. Thank you once again, guys, for this weekend ramble, and I hope to see you on the next one. Take care.